Maurya Empire. The Mauryan Empire, which formed around 321 BC and ended in 185 BC, was the first pan-Indian empire, an empire that covered most of the Indian region. It spanned across central and northern India as well as over parts of modern-day Iran. The Mauryan Empire's first leader, Chandragupta Maurya, started consolidating land as Alexander the Great's power began to wane. Alexander's death in 323 BC left a large power vacuum, and Chandragupta took advantage, gathering an army and overthrowing the Nanda power in Magad, in present-day eastern India, marking the start of the Mauryan Empire. After crowning himself king, Chandragupta took additional lands through force and by forming alliances. Chandragupta's chief minister Kautilya, sometimes called Chanakya, advised Chandragupta and contributed to the empire's legacy. In addition to being a political strategist, Kautilya is also known for writing the Arthashastra, a treatise about leadership and government. The Arthashastra describes how a state should organize its economy and maintain power. Chandragupta's government closely resembled the government described in the Arthashastra. One notable aspect of the Arthashastra was its focus on spies. Kautilya recommended the king have large networks of informants to work as a surveillance force for the ruler. The focus on deception reveals a pragmatic and borderline cynical view of human nature. Bindusara, Chandragupta's son, assumed the throne around 300 BC. He kept the empire running smoothly while maintaining its lands. Bindusara's son, Ashoka, was the third leader of the Mauryan Empire. Ashoka left his mark on history by erecting large stone pillars inscribed with edicts that he issued. After leading a bloody campaign against Kalinga, a region on the central-eastern coast of India, Ashoka reevaluated his commitment to expanding the empire and instead turned to Buddhism and its tenet of non-violence. Many of his edicts encouraged people to give up violence and live in peace with each other, two important Buddhist principles. After Ashoka's death, his family continued to reign, but the empire began to break apart. The last of the Mauryas, Brihadratha, was assassinated by his commander-in-chief, a man named Pushyamrita, who went on to found the Shunga dynasty in 185 BC. The Maurya Empire was a geographically extensive Iron Age historical power in ancient India, ruled by the Maurya dynasty from 322 to 185 BC. Originating from the kingdom of Magad in the Indo-Gangetic plain, modern Bihar, eastern Uttar Pradesh, in the eastern side of the Indian subcontinent, the empire had its capital city at Patliputra, modern Patna. The empire was the largest to have ever existed in the Indian subcontinent, spanning over 5 million square kilometers at its zenith under Ashoka. The empire was founded in 322 BCE by Chandragupta Maurya, who had overthrown the Nanda dynasty, and rapidly expanded his power, with Chanakya's help, westward across central and western India. His expansion took advantage of the disruptions of local powers in the wake of the withdrawal westward by Alexander the Great's armies. By 316 BCE, the empire had fully occupied northwestern India, defeating and conquering the satraps left by Alexander. Chandragupta then defeated the invasion led by Seleucus I, a Macedonian general from Alexander's army, and gained additional territory west of the Indus River. In its time, the Maurya Empire was one of the largest empires of the world. At its greatest extent, the empire stretched to the north along the natural boundaries of the Himalayas, to the east into Assam, to the west into Balochistan, southwest Pakistan and southeast Iran, and into the Hindu Kush mountains of what is now Afghanistan. The empire was expanded into India's central and southern regions by the emperors Chandragupta and Bindusara, but it excluded a small portion of unexplored tribal and forested regions near Kalinga, modern Odisha, until it was conquered by Ashoka. It declined for about 50 years after Ashoka's rule ended, and it dissolved in 185 BCE with the foundation of the Shunga dynasty in Magad. Conquest of Magad and foundation of the Maurya Empire, c. 321 BCE. According to several legends, Chanakya travelled to Magad, a kingdom that was large and militarily powerful and feared by its neighbors, but was insulted by its king Dhanananda, of the Nanda dynasty. Chanakya swore revenge and vowed to destroy the Nanda Empire. The Nanda Empire originated from the region of Magad in ancient India during the 4th century BCE, and lasted until between 345 to 321 BCE. At its greatest extent, the empire ruled by the Nanda dynasty extended from Bengal in the east to the Punjab region in the west, and as far south as the Vindhya range. The rulers of this dynasty were famed for the great wealth that they accumulated. Chanakya encouraged the young Chandragupta Maurya and his army to take over the throne of Magad. Using his intelligence network, Chandragupta gathered many young men from across Magad and other provinces who were upset over the corrupt and oppressive rule of King Dhana, as well as the resources necessary for his army to fight a long series of battles. These men included the former general of Taxila, accomplished students of Chanakya, the representative of King Porus of Kakai, his son Malaiketu, and the rulers of small states. Maurya devised a strategy to invade Patliputra, the capital of the Nanda Empire. A battle was announced and the Magdhan army was drawn from the city to a distant battlefield in order to engage Maurya's forces. Meanwhile, Maurya's general and spies bribed the Nanda's corrupt general and created an atmosphere of civil war in the kingdom, which culminated in the death of the heir to the throne. Upon the civil unrest in the kingdom, Nanda resigned and disappeared into exile. Chanakya contacted the prime minister, Rakshasa, and convinced him that his loyalty was to Magad, not to the Nanda dynasty, and that he should remain in office. Chanakya reiterated that choosing to resist would start a war that would severely affect Magad and destroy the city. Rakshasa accepted Chanakya's reasoning, and Chandragupta Maurya was legitimately installed as the new king of Magad in 321 BCE, at the age of 21. Rakshasa became Chandragupta's chief advisor, and Chanakya assumed the position of an elder statesman. Northwest expansion. With his new seat of power in Magad, Chandragupta Maurya defeated the remaining Macedonian satraps and consolidated his reign of the new Maurya Empire. He rapidly expanded his power westward across central and western India, taking advantage of the disruptions of local powers in the wake of the withdrawal westward by Alexander the Great's Greek armies. By 320 BCE, the empire had fully occupied northwestern India. Chandragupta Maurya would become the first emperor to unify India into one state, creating one of the world's largest empires in its time, and the largest ever in the Indian subcontinent.